All right, how's it going everyone? Coach Braden here with Look Like You Lift, and in this video we're gonna do a quick demonstration on how to do the front squat. This is a very technical exercise and it does require a little bit of mobility, but I believe with a couple tweaks, most people should be able to do this. First, we're gonna talk about the rack position in the front squat. We wanna make sure that the weight is set right on top of the muscles of the clavicle and right on the muscles of the shoulder. So I'm gonna have Preston go ahead and approach his barbell. And he's gonna take a grip where it's right outside his shoulders. So about like right here on both sides. So maybe like a thumb width apart or like a half thumb width apart, about right there. And he's not gonna try to support the weight in his hands. Actually, it's just gonna be his fingers that are in the bar. And he's gonna bring his elbows as far forward toward me as he possibly can. See how the weight is trying to be supported in his hands? We're not gonna do that because we're not gonna try to press this weight. Okay, so relax your hands. Keep the fingers loose and then bring your elbows under as much as you possibly can. There you go. See, if you were to, you can't get into that position if you tried to hold onto the bar, right? To take it even further, if you don't have very good mobility, you can actually just hold onto the barbell with just 2 fingers if you needed to. So there you go. That's even better. The goal is we want to try to get the humerus, go ahead and get back there. We want to try to get the humerus as close to parallel with the floor as possible. Now, it's gonna be kind of tricky with most people, but like I said, we'll show you a couple tricks where most people should be able to do this, okay? So go ahead and unrack the weight here, okay? That's set in a good position where it's right on the meat of his shoulders and his chest, and it's not pressed up against his glottis, so he won't pass out. Take one step out. And we're not going to take the squat stance that we've demonstrated in the low bar squat. In fact, we're gonna take a more narrow stance. The heels are going to be directly under the hips, so actually wider stance. Similar to like your deadlift, maybe just a little bit wider. And then turn your toes out about 30 degrees from there. There you go. Now, the mechanics of this are very different than the low bar back squat. You're not gonna think about reaching your hips back like you do when the weight is sitting on your back. You're actually gonna think about dropping your hips directly underneath you and let the knees track as far forward as you can. So 2 things. Here's the butt, here are the knees. The hips are gonna drop directly down and the knees are gonna come directly forward, okay? So go ahead and just try that. There you go, cool. Now do that again, get down to the bottom for me. What we're looking for is to try to keep the back as vertical as possible in this exercise, which that looks pretty damn good. So go ahead and come back up. So again, drop the hips directly down, knees come directly forward. That's it, good, come back up. Now we're gonna pay close attention to his knees as well. So go ahead and squat again for me. Now stop, take a look at his toe angle and his knee angle. We want the angles to be exactly the same. So he's actually gonna push his knees out more. There you go, come back up. So we need those knees to be over the toes. So you're actually gonna think about as you squat down, push the knees out to the sides as well. Come do that again. There you go, come back up. Nice, okay, do 2 more. Last one. Okay, go ahead and rack it. Okay, so now you're probably thinking to yourself, okay, I can't get into that front clean position. So you've probably seen guys that do this, where they cross their arms over their chest. I'm not a fan of that way of doing this exercise because it can cause kyphosis, which means the elbows will drop forward, which means you'll be in a very horizontal position. You run the risk of dumping the bar at the bottom. I'm a bigger fan of actually keeping that thoracic extension and using something like a deadlift strap where you can just loop it around the barbell and get a much better mobile position. So the way that I would do that is take your strap and then grab onto your strap here and then unrack it. See how like with very limited, I don't even have to have that very good of mobility to do this and it's set in the right spot. Another thing that you can do is what's called a zombie squat. So I'm gonna have Preston approach the barbell again. A zombie squat looks a little risky, but if you're not an idiot, you should be able to do it okay. So a zombie squat, what we're gonna do is actually, you're going to unrack the weight and you're gonna have your hands pointed this way with a slight elevation with your palms facing together, okay? So just like that, keep your arms completely straight and then point your fingers forward. There you go, go ahead and unrack it. Now, whatever you do, you can't let the arms drop. You have to keep your arms up, pointed upward like that. Okay, go ahead and get into your squat stance. And squat down for me. There you go. And actually, his back angle is actually more vertical than what it was when he was in that clean position. Now, naturally, I wouldn't recommend this all the time, especially with like maximal loads. I would only recommend this for practice, getting into the bottom of your front squat without having to worry about the mobility of your shoulders. So, and we'll do, whoops, and we'll do another video on how to work on the mobility of your lat and your shoulder to get into the front squat position. So that's the front squat.